Welcome back to the Yankee and the Brit. I'm Jay. He's Maddie, and we are here with our Sunday game NFL preview coming to you on Saturday night.
Yeah, or Sunday morning for me. Just a reminder, this is a Sunday pregame show for me still. It's just the games don't happen until Monday, which is interesting.
Yeah, it's wild. But I how many people in Vietnam actually care about the NFL?
I don't think the NFL should monitor their time schedule based on Vietnam. I'm not sure whether that's the best idea. It does mean when you're here, though, you get like the prime time game at 9 a.m, which is a cool time to watch football as long as you don't have like a 9 till 5 job.
Or if you're not like me and you sleep till 10.
Or if you're not like you and you sleep till 10. Yes, that works.
All right, Maddie, let's talk about your Cowboys playing the Seahawks. Not gonna lie, I found myself thinking that the Cowboys are less of a contender after the game than I did before the game.
I don't understand that point of view based on what we're going to talk about later. So the Cowboys get in a close game where they pull it out in the fourth quarter. They play good situational football in the fourth quarter and they pull out a win when by all odds, it should have been a blowout. But I told you it was going to be close. And I said this is a fair challenge for the Cowboys. The Seahawks aren't as bad as everybody thinks they are. Like their wide receiver core is possibly better than the Cowboys with DJ Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Tyler Smith, and Jigba. Obviously, CeeDee Lamb's having a great season. But outside of that, I think I'd rather take the Seahawks wide receiver core. Their running back position is very strong. And their offensive line is above average. So, yes, they're a 500 team now. But they weren't a 500 team when we were playing them. They've got the same record as the Buffalo Bills, which we gave the Eagles all the fucking plaudits for last week.
The Eagles have beaten real teams, though.
But we gave them we said the same thing about the Bills. Last week, I said they played the Bills close and the Bills aren't that good of a team. And you said, yeah, but they got the win in a good fashion. And it's like, what?
Yeah, but that's the difference is you guys lose to good teams, and to even to a middle of the road team, you barely won.
But the Eagles barely won against the team with the same record.
But they beat good teams too. That's the point. That's the type of football they play. You got like Dak gets garbage stats against bad teams.
He got amazing stats against the Eagles.
Whose pass defense is suspect? You've been screaming that for a week.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's a fair point. Yes, I'm not going to say that I was happy that it was a close game, but I don't understand. I don't get the rhetoric of a win's a win for some teams, but the Cowboys have to annihilate everybody until they play a good team. But the Seahawks are a good team. Or they're a middle of the road team,
right?
But
and you guys have not. You have to beat the top teams, and then the rest of it is less.
Yes,
it matters less than if you're blowing out shitty teams, and then as soon as you play a mediocre team, it's tough, and then if you play a good team, you lose.
Yes. To be fair to the Cowboys as well, let's just put that bit into a little bit of perspective. The only teams on their schedule that are good teams are the top two teams in the NFL. So they're the two teams that they've lost to. They've then played a good team. I'd say the Seattle Seahawks are a good team. I think if you look at their cornerback position, their running back position, their wide receivers, they are very, very good. Geno is probably top 15 because of all the injuries right now. I'm not saying he's a top 15 normally, but right now he's a top 15 quarterback in the NFL due to all of the injuries. I think it is fair to say that the Cowboys came up against the Stern test. And let's be fair, the defense was fucking shocking for 3/4 of that game. But situationally, in the fourth quarter, which is something that we haven't seen from the Cowboys this year, they've been challenged in the fourth quarter, and the defense came in and they played their best football when it mattered. And Dak had a fucking amazing game. Dak played an amazing game of football.
Okay, but beyond losing to the two best teams in the NFL, you lost to maybe the worst team in the NFL too.
Yes, but we have said on multiple occasions that that's like just a game where the Eagles lost to the Jets. So let's not like
Right. So I
chastise and chastise, like you
right.
know.
So by that metric, then the Eagles are undefeated.
No, I'm not. It doesn't mean that
Did you get
undefeated.
that
It
one
just means
throwaway
like
game, right? You throw it away, and then
yeah, but it doesn't mean you're undefeated. You still had the throwaway. You still had the throwaway game, and it did show parts of the team that weren't working well. So in the Jets, it's Jalen Smith's turnovers. In that Jets game, in the Cowboys game, it's
so
in the Cowboys against the Cardinals game, it's we're playing too conservative a game. On
it
offense,
wasn't that amazing Jets defense.
No. That's also not what I'm saying. I'm saying like you do get that throwaway game, but there are trends that you can see in those throwaway games. And the Cowboys, where we weren't playing aggressive enough on offense, which we now play aggressive football. However, that game that they lost against the Cardinals is shocking. It's not to be thrown away. It's just an outlier rather than the actual summation of what the Cowboys are this season.
What I saw is that you guys better hope you don't run into the Seahawks again in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean a team that we beat, but yes, I know where that's. I know where that's coming
you
from.
You might beat them in the playoffs too, but you're going to have your fucking hands full. That's kind of my point.
Yeah, yes. But I would imagine you would have your hands full with most teams in the playoffs.
Okay.
I feel like
I wish I could have stole this meme, but I couldn't. And when I went back to get it, it was already gone. But somebody, and I don't believe this to be the case, but how quick people change. It said, if you don't like your bread bland, just toast it.
Yeah. We can talk about Deron Bland a little bit because the guy.
I think it's an
cooked.
unfair assessment. I think he gets.
Yeah.
I think he got beat up unfairly in that game, and twice when he got beat, you better go call the safety because the safety was supposed to be over the top on two of those.
That big play that DK Metcalf gets for the first or the second, the first touchdown on the slant where he takes it for 73 yards and everybody's saying Bland got cooked. Bland jumped the route, which is what Bland has been doing all year. And it's what the Cowboys cornerbacks do. It's why they have interceptions, because they jump routes. And the Cowboys are liable to give up those big plays. It isn't an anomaly that the Cowboys give up big plays because they're trying to make big plays. But Donovan Wilson, who's one of my favorite Cowboys, I absolutely love the guy at safety, steps up when he just needed to cover over the top. So 73 yards on that missed play by Bland. So if you're counting the yardage as why he got cooked, about 60 of those yards are because Wilson wasn't there on that one play. So that's 60 yards off. That should be on Wilson for getting cooked, not Bland. However, Bland did look suspect at points against an elite wide receiver. And let's remember that this is still not, he hasn't, for the people who, this is the thing with the 49ers, the Eagles, and the Cowboys. All three of the fan bases hate each other. So we all find ways to slag each other off at all points when we don't realize that we're also then using the opposite stuff to argue our point. So the people who were saying...
I don't feel like the Cowboys are no longer, for me, in that top elite tier.
The people who were saying Brock Purdy hasn't had a full season of starts yet, having given the same thing to Bland this week, saying Bland hasn't had a full season of starts yet, so does that mean he's a rookie? Personally, I don't think so, and I know it's different at quarterback and cornerback.
That's what I was going to say. Corner's a little easier to adjust to than quarterback.
Yeah.
All right.
But I don't think it's fair to say Bland got toasted when he was excellent in the fourth quarter, had an interception while the Seahawks are driving down the field, and he righted it after he obviously got absolutely shat on at halftime and came out and righted it after halftime.
All right, well, let's get to the elephant in the room. The two best teams in the NFL, 49ers traveling to Philly. Philly is a 3-point dog at home because all the money flooded in to Vegas on the Niners. which is, I feel, prisoner of the moment, because if you really look at it, I don't think it's even debatable which one of these teams is better. It's the Eagles.
Okay. Just before we get into this, because it's very easy for a Cowboys fan to sit here and look like an Eagles hater, as well as it is easy for a Minnesota fan to do the same thing. I do want to say I think the Eagles are the best or the second best team in the NFL. I think they have an excellent chance of going to the NFC title game and therefore an excellent chance of going to the Super Bowl. They could go undefeated for the rest of the season as long as they win this 49ers game. However, I am not willing to sit here and say that the predication of this debate is a healthy 49ers team are going to beat the Eagles this week.
Okay, one, the Eagles don't need to be healthy to win. They've proven that. They won without one of their best offensive linemen in the league not playing, in Lane Johnson. And the Eagles, the Eagles have wins against good teams. The Eagles have wins against the Dolphins, the Cowboys, because we were just talking and you were telling us how good the Cowboys are. The Chiefs, the Bills, you can argue either way, however you want. The 49ers, big win of the year, the Cowboys. All right, I'm done. That was their big win of the year.
Yeah, it's a big win of the year is a blowout win of the year. Like the Cowboys are a good team. First of all, the Cowboys are probably you call them a top 4 team in the NFL. So let's not go.
I took that back
crazy.
after watching them play the Seahawks.
You've taken it back after they won.
Yeah,
you've taken it back after a win, but you don't take it back when the Eagles play close games every single game and look like they're about to use because their quarterback turns the ball over a ridiculous amount. He's on pace to beat Dak's turnovers last year, but Dak is the problem in Dallas for turning the ball over when Dak only has 6 turnovers this year and Jalen Hurts doubles that.
Don't put that on me this year. That was the problem with Dak last year.
Yeah, that's fair. But you don't blame Jalen Hurts for the same thing this year.
Because Jalen Hurts is more important to his team. Like, the Cowboys
he still turns the ball over.
The Cowboys could win fucking 6 games with Andy Dalton. The Eagles ride the Jalen Hurts train. Jalen is what makes that team go. He is more important to the Eagles than Dak is to the Cowboys.
Okay.
But again, to go back to the point, the reason that the Eagles don't get beat up for those close games against mediocre teams is because they beat the top teams too. They beat the Dolphins, they beat the Bills, they beat the Cowboys. Like, they beat everybody who's put in front of them the same way. They just play a slow, grinding, methodical football that tears your soul right out of you. And by the fourth quarter, you're done, and the Eagles put you away.
Yeah. Those games against good teams, it is a very good point. You can only beat who's put in front of you. So let's just put that out there. And the Eagles are now about to go on a run of what the Cowboys had at the start of the year. So let's remember at the end of the year that the Eagles and the Cowboys are in the same division and therefore have a very, very, very similar schedule by the end of the year. So we can look at this at the end of the year and we're saying this 12 games in. The Eagles' problem is, and the reason that they're not blowing teams out is because of Jalen Hurts' turnovers. The reason that they're not blowing teams out. So Jalen Hurts basically is shooting them in the foot and then taking the bullet out and winning the game afterwards in a game that shouldn't have even been close because he needed to look after the ball.
Okay, so the Eagles having issues and still beating everybody is another piece to the puzzle on why they are the best team in the NFL. They have not even played their best football yet, and they're winning against everybody.
But where is the evidence that their best football is coming? Their most important player is the reason that they're playing close games.
No, they always, even look at last year, except against the Vikings, they always play close games. Every game.
Jason Kelce is their most important player, by the way. Just putting that.
No, I mean, look at all of their games. So that's how the Eagles play. They play close games. That's that's Eagles style. The Eagles have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. I don't even think people can argue that. And
no. They have
Nick
the best
Sirianni is another reason they're going to win because,
I said they have the best offensive line in the NFL. I was agreeing.
Okay. And Nick Sirianni is way more aggressive of a coach, which is going to help. He steals first downs. He steals more points. He steals possessions because he's not afraid to go for it. Kyle Shanahan's not going to do that. That's not Kyle Shanahan football. Plus, you can't rely on Brock Purdy to get you those huge downs like you can rely on Jalen Hurts to get you those huge first downs. And their defensive line for the Eagles. Now we've talked about their pass can be suspect at times, their pass defense, but they also have one of the best lines, which gets pressure, which is going to be in Brock Purdy's face. Brock Purdy's not going to be able to carry you. And even though the 49ers get a lot of turnovers, they don't score on those turnovers. In their last 7 turnovers, they've only put up 17 points. The 49ers only put 17 points up off of 7 turnovers in their last 7 turnovers. And I just that run game, soon as you shut down McCaffrey, that whole offense doesn't know what to do anymore because it's a play action offense.
I always find it interesting the run game, the run game analogy, as long as you can stop McCaffrey, because McCaffrey at points does look unstoppable. Like McCaffrey does look amazing, but I guess if you just completely fill the box. But we're talking about games where the games where you stop McCaffrey are also the games where they don't have Trent Williams or they don't have Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, but if you go to PFF,
3 or 4,
if you go to PFF, they have one of the worst pass blocking offensive lines in the NFL. They're graded 26th pass blocking offense in the NFL.
Yeah, I think they didn't explain.
Look at the rotation that the Eagles have for their defensive line. It's insane.
Again, I think it's really important that we're arguing the best 2 teams in the NFL here. So whenever I say any of this, I'm not saying the Eagles are total fucking bums.
Oh, yeah, because I'm not shitting on the 49ers either.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like we'll be sat here and people will go, the 49ers are one of the best teams. And it's like, yeah, we're not fucking arguing that. We know that. Realistically, would you be surprised if this was the NFC Championship game?
No,
because these are the 2 best teams in the NFL, the NFC definitely.
But this game is going to guarantee it's at the link.
Yeah, this game is going to guarantee it'll be a home field advantage, and it stops the Cowboys from winning the division because the Eagles have to lose against the 49ers and the Cowboys have to beat them, and then they have to either lose against the Giants or the Cardinals because they have a better conference divisional thing, which I know the Eagles play. Yeah. Oh, no, the Seahawks as well. They can lose against the Seahawks, but I know they play close division. I know they play close games, but that's taking the piss. Yeah. Yes. So just going to the turnovers thing really quickly, I've become a big fan of turnover differential recently because I think it's an important team stat when we're discussing teams. I very wrongly used it to argue with you about Jalen Hurts the other day, which it's not a Jalen Hurts thing, although Jalen Hurts has, I think, the 4th most turnovers in the NFL this year. But turnover differential, the Eagles are at -2 in turnover differential, which means they're giving up two plays a game in turnover differential. Now they do make that up in terms of the brotherly shove on 4th and fucking 2, which guarantees them drives and extra plays as well. The 49ers are +11 in turnover differential. I think this is a really, really, really important stat going into this game. The 49ers get turnovers, and they don't give them away. Look, I don't think Brock Purdy is better than Jalen Hurts. I think anybody who says that is lying, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. However, I know that Brock Purdy isn't going to lose me a game. Jalen Hurts puts me in, seems to this season, very important to say this season, seems to this season put the Eagles into positions where they could lose the game, where they could lose games, and then he pulls them out of the fire. And it's that he pulls them out of the fire aspect, which makes him different to fucking Josh Allen in this aspect, where Josh Allen puts them in the shit and then can't quite get them out of the shit. But Hurts puts them in positions to lose games and pulls them out of the fire. Whereas like Brock Purdy isn't going to win them games, but he never puts them in a position to lose a game by himself by turning the ball over.
Right, but those turnovers, it's important and it's huge. I don't want to underestimate it, but when you can't score off the turnovers, you know what I mean? Like 17 points off the last 7 turnovers is insane.
Yeah, I love that stat. That's good. That's good stat work from yourself. Good research.
I had to look it up because I knew you were coming with the turnover argument.
No. I love the stat. I still think obviously the turnovers stops you being scored on the defensive side of the ball as well. And yes, it would be so much better if they were scoring points on turnovers, but it's not like the 49ers have a problem scoring points in general. What is their points per game? Let's have a look.
And their secondary is also suspect for the 49ers.
Yeah, the Eagles and the 49ers are both 28.2 points per game. They both scored 28.2 points per game. That's an interesting stat. Just to be said, the Cowboys are the top scoring offense in the NFL, but that is because they play tomato cans, as Chris Broussard calls them. So we'll see where the Cowboys go from. We'll see where the Cowboys go from here for the rest of their schedule. But
are you not more worried about the Lions now? Because I'm more worried about the Lions for you guys than I was going into that game.
No, not really, because I've seen the Lions in the past. I've seen the Lions in the past couple of weeks, and they're not the team that I thought they were going to be. Look, we should be worried playing against better teams. The Cowboys. Look, the Cowboys are the third best team in the NFC, in my opinion. But there is a gap between the 49ers, the Eagles, and the Cowboys. I am excited to see the Cowboys against the Eagles game next week because I think the Eagles are personally a decent matchup for us. That doesn't mean that we're a better team. I think that they're a better matchup for us. I still think we get absolutely annihilated by the 49ers. The Cowboys' hopes of going to the Super Bowl need to be somebody beats the 49ers for them on the way to the NFC Championship game. But just on this game, I think the 49ers in terms of situational football are better. When it's very important to say that the 49ers need to be healthy in this. I think they're a better coach team. I don't think Nick Sirianni is all that.
Situational football when all the Eagles do is pick up every big situation that has to be. 4th down, we'll go for it. 1st down. 3rd and 8, well, let's pick up 6, and then 4th and 2, let's go for it. 1st down. That to me is one of the great. The Eagles never being, and never is a strong word, but usually never being 3rd and long is one of the most impressive situational football stats to me out there because they just don't let themselves get into 3rd and long.
Yeah, apart from the 3-game slide against the Browns, the Vikings, and the Bengals, where they had injuries, and it is really important to say, I'm arguing this on him being healthy, which I think in my head makes the Eagles more likely to go to the Super Bowl. So I'm arguing like in the current moment, not my Super Bowl prediction right now. I think the Eagles are more likely to go to the Super Bowl because they're more likely to win if they're not healthy, or they're more likely to stay healthy because the 49ers always get injured. So I'm arguing for right now, this coming week, where the 49ers are healthy. When they have been healthy, they have never been in a place where it was even close to them losing a game. It hasn't been close. And that, for me, is good situational ball. It's never needed to even be close. They've never needed to get those big situations to pull themselves out of the fucking fire because they play a solid game where they don't turn the ball over, where they run the ball very well, they are excellent on defense.
So that big win against the Steelers, close game against the Rams, blow out the Giants, yay. Blow out the Cardinals, yay. Blow out the Cowboys, okay. Lose to the Browns, lose to the Vikings, lose to the
Not
Bengals.
healthy, not healthy, not healthy.
Right, but there was close games. Now, like you said, they just went. It's never close when they're healthy. Those were the first quarter games of the year, and they were close.
Where am I looking at these close
Rams
games?
by 7.
The Rams.
That's a close game.
Okay, the Rams. It's 1, right?
Then you lose 3 games, and the only teams you're blowing out are teams that are bad. Like their only win against a good team is like the Cowboys,
the Jags.
But the Jags weren't healthy, if that's what you're arguing.
Oh, weren't they?
No, ETN wasn't playing, right?
Like ETN did play.
Was it?
Oh, no, he didn't. No, he didn't.
I'm just saying, like
ETN had 9 carries for 35 yards.
Yeah, that's where he got hurt, I think, right in the first quarter. But yeah. Offensive line was hurt. They had defensive. I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying the 49ers are bad, but like you act like there's some. Okay, they played close against, or they blew out bad teams, but then they had close games against. They get beat by 3, and then they have a close game against the Rams, who is a mid team. Like,
weirdly, the Rams at the start of the year looked a lot better than they do now. Just the start of the year, Rams were excellent, and then Matthew Stafford got injured, and then they've played well-ish since Matthew Stafford came back.
Doesn't that say more about the 49ers? Like, they have to be healthy to even win? Like, yeah. Because, like I just said, the Eagles have dealt with all kinds of injuries and just keep figuring out how to win games because they play grimy, gritty football. And that's going to win them a lot of games in the playoffs, too.
Yeah, on the defensive side of the ball, the 49ers are hurt. By the way, they've got a lot of injuries on the defensive side of the ball. And the defense has looked suspect at points in the same way that the Eagles have. It's more offensively where they need to remain healthy. And that is a big question for the 49ers. It was a question that we posed at the start of the year saying, are the 49ers going to remain healthy throughout the rest of the year? Because they're the fucking 49ers and they get injured every week.
They have to. Now, I don't know if you agree with this, but for me, for the 49ers to even have a chance of winning, they have to be able to run the ball and they have to be able to pressure the quarterback.
Yeah. I mean,
the D lines of the Eagles are their strength. So good luck running like the ball like you do on everybody else. And you're not going to get the pass rush you get against everybody else against that D line or that offensive line of the Eagles.
Yeah, the 49ers, the year that the Eagles go to the Super Bowl, the 49ers end up playing with their third string quarterback. They end up playing with Christian McCaffrey, a quarterback. And still look like they were in the game up until that point. So this is a revenge game for the 49ers. It's what they need to be able to say, we would have won that game, by the way, if they remain healthy. I think the health point is a massive bone of contention here where I genuinely, if Trent Williams goes down and is out for the rest of the season, then that's it for me. Then I'm like, yeah, Eagles all the way, best team in the NFC. So the fact that it relies on one team, one player, is a big issue. Obviously, he is playing this week. So that's where I'm at with this.
So
when they're healthy, they're a better team.
Then I'm guessing you're taking the 49ers minus the 3.
I would rather it be like -2, -2.5, but I'll take the 3, yeah.
So you are. Okay.
Yeah, I'll take it.
All right. Let's move on to another game. Let's go to the Arizona Cardinals traveling to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Arizona Cardinals are 6.5-point dogs at the Steelers.
The gritty, fiery Arizona Cardinals, the feisty is the word that everybody has been using for them. Are people overstating the Steelers' offensive improvement last week, Jay? That's my question to you on this.
Yes. Because even if you get 20% better, you're still bad.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's going crazy about the Steelers' offense looking better last week. They scored 16 points. Let's calm the
That's because
fuck
they
down,
actually saw this thing called motion, and they weren't sure what it was, and it was a brand new concept in Pittsburgh.
Crazy concept of play motion and throw the ball to your best players in Pickens and Pat Freiermuth is Pat Freiermuth is a fucking freak as well, which is important to mention. But they scored 16 points, and everybody's saying like, "Oh yeah, this is the turning point. This is the turning point in Pittsburgh." Oh, it's like when they had Antonio Bell and not Antonio Brown and Bell and Ben Roethlisberger was there. Oh my god, it's like watching the Steelers again. No, it's fucking not. Like they scored 16 points. The Bengals defense is top 10, but 16 points when Jake Browning is on the other side of the field, like that's not good football. But they did look better in terms of yardage and that kind of thing. So they are better.
So I don't even know what to think. Give me the Cardinals plus 6.5 because I think Kyler can at least keep them fucking close.
Yeah, I think the fact that do the Steelers get pressure on Kyler Murray to the same extent that they were able to on Jake Browning last week? Because Kyler Murray's scampering ability still looks fantastic after his injury. He's still extending plays. I do feel like if they get weapons in Arizona now, that they've got the makings of a decent team because of the hard-nosed football they played at the start of the year. Even though they were getting blown out by teams, they still played hard. So yeah, I'm going to take the Cardinals in that one plus 6.
All right, plus 6.5. We get that half point.
Plus 6.5. Okay.
Yeah.
Plus 6.5.
All right. Well, we got the Falcons traveling to New Jersey to take on the New York Jets. The Jets are 2-point dogs at home with what's his name? Boiled starting again. Fuck.
Todd Boyles. Yeah, Todd Boyles is starting.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't know who you're going for that.
No, I was thinking about how the Browns are playing Joe Flacco, and Joe Flacco popped in my head right away in that Jets uniform, and I stumbled over everything I wanted to say.
Why are they playing Todd Boyles again? Like
because
you've seen what you've got in him. Yeah, but maybe we give Todd Boyles another week. It's not fair to throw him out after 1 week, but I'm not sure that that's a good fucking. Not sure that that's a good replacement. Like at least Zach Wilson has shown the ability to be good at points this year, and I think it's important to give him as much time out there as possible because at the moment you get no trade value for Zach Wilson, right? Like you can't give Zach Wilson to anyone with any trade value attached to it. So you may as well see if he goes out there, gets a few wins behind your amazing defense to see if you can get some trade value for him. And if you lose, great, you get higher draft picks anyway. But I mean, they gave them all away for Aaron Rodgers, so the trade picks aren't necessarily the biggest deal in the entire world. Yeah, I like the way that the Falcons have started to play football. I think it's about time that they start running Bijan Robinson more. Drake London's more involved in the offense. Kyler Pitts is more in the offense. They're not just running people as it's almost like your best players don't have to be decoys for the entire time. How crazy is that to think that if you're making your best players decoy, when you have 3 excellent players, you can still make 2 of them decoys and get it to your other best player. Oh my fucking God. This is crazy to look at. Yeah, give me the Falcons in this one.
Yeah.
Despite Desmond Ritter being quarterback.
Give me the Jets +2 because Desmond Ritter is the quarterback, and I think that Jets defense is going to have something for the Falcons. And I don't believe the Falcons are that good of a team at all. And I believe in the Jets defense more. And it never matters what quarterback's there because I'm never banking on them to score more than 20 points to win a game if you're the Jets anyway.
Yeah, if they need to win a game by more than 20, that means their defense hasn't stood up, which means they have no chance.
Yeah, the
I
over
think
under
the Falcons
41. Nobody's expecting either of these teams to get much more than 20.
I think the Falcons will put up at least 20.
On
I'll
that
take the
Jets
over on
defense.
41. I genuinely do. I genuinely do think the Falcons have started to turn a corner now in terms of like actually using their players better. Would you feel better about the Falcons if it was Taylor Heineke playing quarterback? Because I know I would.
I mean, a little.
Yeah. I don't understand the benching of Taylor Heineke to bring back Desmond Ridder. That's just not something I understand.
I thought he caught a concussion, and isn't that what happened?
Yeah, but it's only 1 week for a concussion.
Right, but now you're playing revolving door at quarterback on a bad team to begin with.
Right, but for 1 week, Desmond Ridder comes in. Who did they beat last week? That beats the Saints, which is a big win for them. But I would be playing Taylor Heineke. I think he suits the offense a little bit better.
Yeah, that Saints team is extremely depressing this year compared to what I thought they were going to be.
Yeah, because they should be better with Alvin Kamara, and Michael Thomas is now out, but Derek Carr at quarterback as well. They should be better.
So here's a stat that when I first spread that when I first saw it kind of fucked me up. The Dolphins are traveling to the Commanders, and the Commanders are only 9-point dogs at home, and they traded away their 2 best pass rushers, and they're going to give Tua all day to sit back there and throw that ball to all those weapons. Miami's defense is just getting better with Ramsey back. I give me the Dolphins -9 right off the bat. I don't even need to go into a whole long discussion about that one.
Is it in Miami or is it in Washington?
No, it's in Washington.
It's in Washington.
The toilets will be backing up at the stadium, and yeah.
That does make a big difference for the Dolphins, the home or away. They average like 35 points at home and 22 away, or somewhere close to that. But you're right. The Commanders trade away their 2 best defensive options. The Dolphins are...
I feel like Ramsey's going to have 2 picks.
Yeah. So the Dolphins are the kings of... So the Cowboys get... Because they're in the media starlight all the fucking time, the Cowboys are the meme of annihilate terrible teams and lose against mediocre to good teams, right? The Dolphins are the real proponents of that. Like they're the real deal when it comes to that. Like the Cowboys have only played fucking 2 of the best teams in the NFL, as we debated at the start of the show, and 1 good team. So we don't really know what the Cowboys are on that. The Dolphins have played good teams and shit teams, and they just show that they annihilate the trash and lose against the good teams. Let's see who they've played. So lost to the Chiefs, annihilated the Patriots, lost to the Eagles, annihilate the Panthers, annihilate the Giants, lose to the Bills, annihilate the Broncos, and the Broncos are now a good defensive team. Win against the Patriots, only just win against the Chargers in the first game of the season. So look, -9 is a huge point spread, but this Commanders team is so poorly put together, and Sam Howell, for all his promise at the start of the year, is becoming the turnover machine that we knew he was going to be because of the style of football he plays. He's always had a high turnover rate according to PFF. So with Jalen Ramsey back, I do think the Dolphins are going to get some turnovers on that side of the ball. Give me the Dolphins -9, even though I hate it.
All right. Well, let's take the LA Chargers traveling to the New England Patriots. If this isn't a shit show of a game, the Chargers are favored by 5.5 on the road.
Who's Bill decided to go with a quarterback this week? Do we know? Haven't been told yet. Let's have a look. What mind games is Bill Belichick playing with his own quarterbacks? But anyway, you have a look at that. I think saying that this is going to be...
He elevated Malik Cunningham again.
I think he should fucking play Cunningham, right? Like, is it not time?
Well, this says from 3 hours ago, Zappy takes reps as Belichick is mum on Pat's quarterback.
Okay, so he's playing fucking mind games with his own quarterbacks again, which is
Well,
so fucking sensible to
hopefully
do.
they know, and he's just not telling the media.
Yeah, but it can't be good, right? When you have so much outside noise about your quarterback position that they're noticing the backup quarterback's taking more reps than usual. The backup quarter, that means he's going to be a starter. That means he's going to be a starter. Like, I'm sorry, it must get into your head and must get into the building at points. Like, I know the Patriot way was always don't listen to the outside noise, but that was when they were winning. That's much easier to do when you're winning. They're not winning now, so you're thinking, oh, we're listening to the outside noise. We don't know if our head coach is going to make it to the end of the year.
The Patriot way was the Brady way.
Yeah, I'm starting to come around on that. Yeah, definitely agree with you. If I was Bill Belichick this week, I would start Cunningham. You're out of the race. Bailey Zappi is just a budget Mac Jones. Like, they're the same fucking guy, in my opinion, apart from Zappi is worse. Mac Jones is better than Bailey Zappi, objectively. Cunningham gives you something different in a very stale offense. And you're about to play the Chargers, who have one of the worst defenses in football. So it's a good time to start a rookie quarterback against one of the worst defenses in football in a game where it's the afternoon slot. There's better games on in the afternoon slot. So the only people who are going to be watching are Patriots fans and Chargers fans anyway. I think it's time to start the backup quarterback. I think it's time to start Cunningham. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I don't think it matters who they start, and it depends on how well he looked good in the preseason. I don't know what they do at quarterback beyond this year, but I do know if the Chargers lose this game, they need to just fire everybody after the fucking game, even the owners. The NFL just needs to fire the owners. I just hate that it's 5.5, so I think the Chargers win, but give me the Patriots and the points.
No, I don't think the Patriots move the ball at all, and I think Justin Herbert is good enough to score enough points to get 5.5 in front of the Pats. So give me the Chargers in this one.
Everybody scores on the Pats, or everybody scores on the Chargers. Remember that.
Everybody scores. Yeah. So let's see. Let's see if the Pats can actually score points because everybody scores on the Chargers, which I don't think they can. I think they might be one of the worst offenses that I've ever seen. And Matt Canada was playing a Steelers team that didn't use any motion.
Yeah, I got no faith in that Chargers team. I still think they'll win, but I think it's going to be close because that's just what the Chargers do. And Vegas doesn't expect many points in that game either because the over-under is 39.
I actually think if it's close, the Chargers will lose because they're the worst situational football.
Then I'm still a fucking winner.
Oh yeah, you're the winner.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's going to be that close.
All right, Denver Broncos travel to the Houston Texans. The Texans are favored by 3 at home. I know the Denver's defense been playing better. Russell Wilson's been playing mid. CJ Stroud is amazing. That team is just getting better and coming on, and they still have a really good chance to win that division. So I think they'll be up and ready for that game. So give me the Texans minus the 3 at home.
Yeah, this sudden hype of... Do you know what I heard somebody say, and I can't remember who it was. It might have been Colin Cowherd, which means it's obviously just shit. But it also might have been Rich Eisen, which means that I take a little bit of it into account because I actually like Rich Eisen as a commentator and as a pundit. I think he's pretty decent. I don't know how you feel about Rich Eisen. But I heard somebody say that Russell Wilson is back to how he was playing in Seattle. I just think that's fucking ridiculous. It's a ridiculous thing to say. Like, Russell Wilson was good in Seattle. He was like, but they're just playing the Seattle style of football where they run the ball and they play great defense. And it's like, but Russell Wilson was a really big part of that Seattle team. When they didn't play well, they could rely on Russell Wilson to pull them out. Now it's Russell Wilson. Don't lose us the game. Make good yardage. Has Russell Wilson improved under Sean Payton this year compared to last year? Yes, of course he has. Of course he has. Was Nathaniel Hackett the biggest problem in Denver last year? Yes, that was obvious. Anybody could have told you that. But Russell Wilson is not Seattle Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is not better than Dak Prescott. He is not better than Kirk Cousins. He's not better than Brock Purdy. He's not better than who else is in that kind of, obviously Kirk Cousins before injury, all of that. He's not better than Justin Herbert. He's not better than any of those guys.
You don't think with Kyle Shanahan he'd be better than Brock Purdy?
It's an interesting question to pose whenever you say anything about Brock Purdy. Personally, right now, I think with the way that Wilson is playing, Wilson to me now looks so scared of turning the ball over that he doesn't unleash a big play because he's scared of what the media will say if he turns the ball over. That's what it looks like to me from the outside looking in. And there's a reason that I sit here and I'm not the quarterback of the Denver Broncos getting paid millions and millions and millions a year. So I might be totally wrong on that. But to me, he looks scared to turn the ball over. So yeah, give me Brock Purdy over Russell Wilson in the Kyle Shanahan offense right now.
So who are you taking, Houston or the Broncos?
I'm taking Houston all the way. I think Houston are going to surprise a few people in the playoffs as well. I think CJ Stroud is a clutch quarterback. CJ Stroud is everything that you want. CJ Stroud, that's another person who's better than Russell Wilson as well. And is in that kind of top 10, top 15 debate. He's with Tank Dell, with Nico Collins, with Noah Brown's the other guy that they've got, who I actually really liked as a Cowboy, came up with big plays as the Cowboys. Dalton Schultz as well, who came up with big plays for the Cowboys behind a half-decent offensive line with what now looks like a good running at. Where did Devin Singletary come from? Like, he's all of a sudden running like he's 5 years younger. Give me the Texans. I think they're an excellently put together football team.
All right. Well, then we have the Detroit Lions traveling to the New Orleans Saints. The Lions are 4-point favorites. If they do not go in there and beat the Saints, there is something really wrong in Detroit. But they have not looked good the last two games.
No.
So we'll see if they can rebound. I still have to believe they're better than the Saints because the Saints have been so underwhelming this year that I will still take the Lions minus the 4. But there is a question: is Jared Goff showing why LA felt like they couldn't win with them? Because when he's a front runner, they're great, but when they need him, he can't put the team on their back and win them a game.
Yeah, I think Jared Goff's another person who's in that echelon of quarterback that I was just speaking about, where they go up and down between top 15 to top 10, back down again, week on week on week. And Jared Goff is the reason that they were playing so well at the start of the year. So I don't feel like this is to put on Jared Goff. Really, I think that Jared Goff is a good quarterback, but you shouldn't expect him to go out and throw for 400 yards and you're this team that puts on fucking 50 points every week. I don't think that Jared Goff is that guy. I think that Jared Goff, when used in the right way, distributing to his very good weapons that they have in Detroit, I think Jared Goff is an excellent QB there. For me, their biggest problem is they continue to play like an underdog when they're the better team in the stadium. You don't need to go for it on every fourth down. You don't need to fake punts in your own 30-yard line. You don't need to do that kind of thing anymore, Dan Campbell. You're the better team. As the better team, kick the ball away. Come back to fight another day. The Lions' stats on the defensive side of the ball are horrific, and they don't pass the eye test in the past 3 games that I've been watching them more closely in terms of pressuring the passer, which is what you need to do. Aiden Hutchinson, as your elite pass rusher, isn't the guy. They need to get another guy in there, and Aiden Hutchinson as a number 2 pass rusher is good. But if he's getting double teamed, he doesn't have the physical attributes to overcome that. But Dan Campbell, play like you're the fucking favorites in a football game, and just there's no need to risk 4th and 5 in your own 30-yard line with a fake punt. It's silly.
And nobody wanted to listen to me when I told them that the Lions were overrated, but okay.
Yeah, I think they need to stop playing like they're the fucking Detroit Lions. You're not the underdog anymore.
All right, so who are you taking? The Lions or the Saints? The Lions -4, the Saints +4.
Yeah, it's a hard one, but I think I'll take the Saints. I'll take the Lions -4.
Yeah, me also.
Yeah,
All
I think
right.
that the Saints' offensive side of the ball is so stagnant that the Lions have to win in a blowout, is what we've been talking about, and I don't think the Saints can keep up with a blowout type of thing, even against this Lions defense.
The Colts are traveling to the Texans, and the Colts are favored by 1 point in this game. This is the I don't give a shit what happens game, but we got to pick it anyway. So what are your thoughts on that, Maddie?
You get fair play to the Colts as to where they are this year, because I thought the Colts were going to be way worse than this. Considering their rookie quarterback went down, and is he out for the season, Richardson?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they've been playing with Gardner Minshew, who's good, but probably not who you want as a starter in the NFL. With all of these injuries, you'll be pretty happy to have Gardner Minshew starting in the NFL. If he was in Cincinnati, you can still say Cincinnati might have a shot and all of that kind of thing. So fair play to the Colts and what they've done there this season. Coaches have got things right. Titans, there's one team that are going to be cheering for the Colts louder than anybody this week, and it's the New England Patriots, in the hope that the Titans separate ways with Vrabel so that he can go to New England for when Belichick leaves.
All right. Yeah, I fucking went back and forth on this, and I feel like for the Titans to win, Derrick Henry has to have a big game. I'm not sure if that will happen, so I'm taking the Colts -1.
In a close game, I think I'm always going to take the plus. Gives me a little bit more coverage, so give me the Titans +1. I don't know who's going to win this game, and to be honest, I haven't looked into it enough to really care.
For you to, but like that means that you might as well take a fucking money line at that point, because the only way you win is if the Titans win or it's a tie.
Or the Colts win by 1. Covers me. The last time I took the money line, every time I take the money line, I lose.
Win by 1, it's a push. So yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
You can do what you want.
Every time I take the money line, I lose.
All right.
That's the way I look at it. The money line hates me, so
Fair enough.
I'm going to take the +1.
All right. Well, then we got the Carolina Panthers traveling down to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Everybody's been fired in Carolina. The world's upside down, and a lot of teams, after firing their head coach, the interim coach comes in. There's this resurgence, and the team wins. With all of that said, give me Tampa -3.5.
Yeah. Do you want your I told you so moment to the rest of the NFL world on Frank Reich?
No, I think he did it himself. I said it early, but I think a lot of people have been saying it often since then, right? So I don't need to beat him up anymore.
Yep. Just saying. Jay said that very early, and that's why you should hit the big subscribe button. That's just down there. We are on these things quite early. We've got a pretty decent record for things like this year.
Yeah, I said it when they hired him. It was an awful choice.
Yeah. This might be one of our better years of coverage in terms of getting spreads right, in terms of calling these things that are happening late in the season. The thing that really helps us the most, guys, so we can keep on doing this and keep on putting shows out, is if you subscribe, you like, and most importantly, hit the share button. Like, the share button is now the algorithm's favorite thing, apparently. So hit the share button. That'll be great. Thanks.
And if you want to support the work, hit that little money sign button down there and leave a little something as a super chat or a super sticker.
I'm still not used to the fact that we can actually make money now. That's I'm still
irritated that YouTube gets 40% of that shit, but let's not talk about that. Okay.
That's how much it is. Wow. We should look up the British conversion of it. Maybe Brits get a better percentage. Anyway,
you guys have to be at 1,000 to even monetize. I looked.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, that's a shame. Okay. So who are we talking about? The Bucks versus the Panthers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Panthers, the Bucks are a sneakily good team still, in my opinion. And I can't really diagnose what is wrong with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like, I'm struggling. When I'm watching what they're doing, I am struggling to diagnose what is wrong with
Because they're
them.
stuck in 1994.
Go on.
The defense,
Go
Tampa
off.
2, doesn't work anymore the way it used to. They don't, and that offense is just, we've seen 100 teams run the offense you're running. Like, they just need fresh, new. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the same. And I know the NFL has always recycled garbage, but they always tinker with it a little bit. And they're running shit that, like, the average fan can call out from the TV on what's going to happen before the ball's even snapped, which puts your quarterback in a bad fucking position. And it definitely, and if you know 90% of the time they're dropping two safeties back, they're going to play zone coverage, cover the middle. Well, then you know where all the holes are in that defense.
Yeah,
Because they're a lot more talented than what they're showing.
They're a lot more talented than what they're showing, and their players aren't playing badly either. Like, I went and I'm a sad person. So on my 36-hour train from Hanoi to Ho Chi Minh, instead of doing something fun, I went and watched Baker Mayfield tape from this season because I was looking at this game and I just wasn't sure why the Bucks are not playing well. Why are the Bucks only 3.5-point favorites over a terrible Panthers team? So I was watching some Baker Mayfield stuff, and I was like, Baker Mayfield is playing quite well. Like, I don't understand. I'm confused because Baker Mayfield is throwing good balls. He's throwing to his good wide receivers. He's not putting the ball in harm's way as often as he normally does. He's playing well. There's signs of a run game every now and again in Tampa. They should be playing better than this. Defensively, every now and again, they look unfucking believable, and they're still losing games and don't look like don't have a good record. I'm very surprised by it. The Panthers have no offensive line for Bryce Young to throw the ball behind. Their only offensive star this year has been Adam Thielen, which has been good for me, but Adam Thielen is an excellent 2-3 wide receiver. They need somebody else there. And everybody says that their defense is really good, and I don't agree with that either. It's also much better for the Panthers to continue to lose these games, even though it's also, again, the Bears are going to be the loudest team shouting for the Buccaneers this week as well. Give me the Buccaneers 3.5.
All right. So
maintain my faith.
Now we have the Cleveland Browns traveling to the LA Rams. The Browns are 4-point dogs. They're starting Joe Flacco, and Myles Garrett is day-to-day. I don't think I need to go much more into any of that than to say, give me the Rams minus the 4, because you're on your fourth-string quarterback and your best defensive player isn't playing when your defense is what you hung your hat on all year.
Yeah, I'm surprised that the Rams are only favored by 4.5. So I'm going to take the Rams 4.5, obviously, as I'm surprised by that, because the Rams offensively have looked good this year when Stafford's been healthy. So outside of Stafford's arm nearly falling off again, they've looked really good. Their wide receiver room is excellent for the offense that they run. I think everybody forgot how good Sean McVay was at the start of the year. I don't think this game is going to be close because the Browns defense is excellent outside of Myles Garrett as well. But Myles Garrett is what gives it that X factor. That's what Myles Garrett gives it. And he's the reason you have to send double teams over to Myles Garrett, which means the other side of the line. So Jadeveon Clowney looks good. Is it Zadarius Smith that's in? Is it the Browns now? He also looks great, but because they have to double team Myles Garrett, and now that you don't have to do that, and the Rams offensive line, although every now and again looking like it goes back to the offensive line of last year, has looked a lot better this year, most of the season, with a propensity to sometimes go back and look a bit like last year's. But give me the Rams. 4.5, is it?
4.
4. Cool. I like the 4.
All right. Well, on to the game of the week that everybody has been waiting for. The Kansas City Chiefs traveling to Green Bay, Wisconsin to take on the Green Bay Packers. And if you are here, you can go down 5 blocks away from my house to a place called Anduzzi Sports Bar. And you can have a Swiftie party because that's what they're doing here in Green Bay. They're bracing for Taylor Swift. The Swifties are hyped up and ready. Anduzzi's is doing a Swiftie party. And what do you know? Kansas City's overtaking Green Bay. Give me Kansas City minus the 6.5 because Taylor Swift is in town, baby. And when Taylor
Is she
Swift
definitely
is around,
coming?
I don't know, but they're doing Swiftie parties, and don't let the truth ruin a good hype up story. So with the Swifties around, give me the Chiefs minus the 6 plus the Packers stink.
Never thought whilst I was doing an NFL podcast I would be looking at Taylor Swift tour dates right now because I'm pretty sure she's in Argentina.
What the Swifties are here and ready, bro. That's all I know. It's all that's been on the news all week.
Green Bay is Swiftie town. Actually, she doesn't have another gig now until February the 7th, where she's in Tokyo, Japan. So maybe she will be there to see Travis Kelce. So the Swifties are in town. Packers Stadium is gonna be red.
Hey, Simone Biles was here this year. Why not Taylor Swift, right? Because Simone Biles' boyfriend plays for the Packers. So yeah, there you go.
I mean, we've always said that Green Bay struggles to attract the stars and free agents because it's not where you want to be. Where you're not anymore. Not anymore. It doesn't. How cold is it in Green Bay right now?
Actually, it's been pretty decent. It's been in the 40s, so for us, that's pretty high for this time of year. But I will tell you in 1 second when it's supposed to be at game time. It will be on Sunday. It'll be almost freezing. It'll be like 2 degrees above freezing at game time.
So the two most disappointing wide receiver groups in the NFL who drop the ball on regular occasions have to play in near to freezing conditions. There's not going to be any drops in this game whatsoever. No, I think as long as Patrick Mahomes stays going to Travis Kelce and they run the ball with Isaiah Pacheco, the Chiefs actually have an excellent run game.
Rice is coming on too, as I think he's going to be a good receiver for years to come for them.
Again, another reason why you should like and subscribe. We said this at the start of the year as well, that Rashid Rice is obviously their best wide receiver. We called that very early, which is why I took him in my fantasy team and then had to drop him because I had an injury, so needed to replace him. Now he's gone and now he's putting up big numbers, which is fucking great for me. Rice looks excellent. Like he's coming on. And then when you have Ivan Toney and you have Valdez Scantling in gadget roles, deep threat roles, you're not relying on them every single play. That's when they become excellent players. I think this is a get-right game for the Chiefs. They still need to win through their defense. Jordan Love has looked better, but not amazing. And I think if Jordan Love continues to look better than average, that's going to fuck the Packers for the future because they're going to stick with Jordan Love.
As of right now, he has the exact same stats as Aaron Rodgers through their first 11 games. 2,599 yards, the same amount of touchdowns, and the same win-loss record as Aaron Rodgers through 11 games.
Yeah, I mean, the game is a bit different now, though, isn't it? Like when you...
Hey, just keep Jordan Love here. Just keep him here for a decade.
To be honest, I'm surprised when can they flex games? I know the Patriots.
They already announced the first Monday night flex. They're flexing the Dolphins or the Chiefs out of a Monday night game, but I don't remember who they flexed in.
They flexed out the Patriots and the Chiefs from a Monday night game to the afternoon slot.
Yeah, I just don't remember who they flexed
downgrade. Into it. Biggest Patriots downgrade going. That shows how exciting the Patriots are. I'm surprised if they were able to flex this game out. I'm surprised they didn't flex it out of the primetime spot for the 49ers, for the 49ers Chiefs game. The 49ers Eagles game. I'm surprised they didn't flex it out. But
I think because Fox would have lost their fucking mind.
yeah, I mean, fair. Fucking Fox. Anyway, give me the Chiefs minus the 6.5.
It's just 6, so
Feels
you don't
like a
even have
lot.
to worry about the
6.
half.
Cool.
All
Feels
right.
like a lot.
So our Monday night football game, which would have been a great game 3 weeks ago, is the Bengals traveling to the Jags. The Jags are 9.5-point favorites at home. I fucking hate that spread, and I really want to just take the fucking Bengals and the points, but I can't see how. And it's NFL, and everybody gets paid, but I still can't see how the Bengals keep that close with as bad a quarterback play as they have. And it's not even just without Joe Burrow. It's you have bad quarterback play.
Yeah. I mean, the Jags offensively are 3 points better than the Steelers at least. That's at least going into this game. And the Steelers won by 6. So I don't see it. I think the Jags had that run of games where they looked really poor, and now they look like an excellent team again. I think the Jags have a shot at being the number 1 seed in the AFC. What are they, a game and a half back in the AFC race? I think they have a real shot at winning that game. Jake Brownling did put up 227 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. But obviously, when you have Jamar Chase going for 81 yards off 4 receptions, they only threw the ball 26 times, with Brownling competing 19. So Brownling didn't have a terrible game. Just putting that out there against a good Steelers defense. So Brownling didn't look terrible, but the Jags offense is just so much better. I hate the 9.5. I hate the 9. I hate the 9.5 even more. Do you know what? I think it could be a push. Give me the Bengals plus 9.5. I think the Bengals defense is underrated.
9.5. I'm taking the Jags minus 9.5, and I hate myself for it. And here's the crazy thing. It's a 9.5-point spread. The over-under is 39.5.
Wow. That's so. What's that? Do the Bengals score 10 points again on this team? I guess. The Jags defense isn't as good as its stats say it is. By the way, just putting that. Right, you watch the Jags defense.
It almost feels like they have to ride the back of Joe Mixon, and Joe Mixon is not that type of back. He's a very good complementary back to their offense when you have a quarterback who can actually throw the ball.
What running backs are sitting on free agency right now? Because you got to feel like there's like a best available
Leonard
free
Fournette,
agency.
I think.
Yeah, you've got to imagine like some guy like a Leonard Fournette gives them, because if you're Leonard Fournette's still out there.
But Mixon's better than Fournette, so.
But I'm not saying that he's not better. I'm saying Fournette gives you something different than Mixon. So Fournette is that.
Yeah, an AARP card.
Yeah, that's true. Fournette gives Mixon a rest, especially in those short yardage attempts. That's where I would go if I was the Bengals. Because who else have they got? P. Ryan, is he still running the ball for the Bengals?
I don't know. I know that once Joe Burrow fell off, my whole paying attention to the Bengals fell off.
Yeah. If you're the Bengals, do you blow it up and get a draft pick, like the highest draft pick you can get? They've got Trayvon Williams, Chase Brown, and Chris Evans, and I don't know who any of those guys are in their running back depth chart. The Bengals' depth is a problem, by the way. If you look at this, so their wide receiver room is obviously one of the best in the league, and Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd. But then after that, you've got Trenton Irwin, who's shown something, and then you've got Andre Iosivas, never heard of him. Charlie Jones, never heard of him either. Their depth is a real issue in the Bengals, and they should have seen this kind of thing coming because Burrow gets injured. If I'm the Bengals, I'm trying to lose as many games as I can and hope that Jamar Chase isn't too upset about it.
There you have it. We made it through another episode, and I still feel like I won that Eagles debate, but I'm sure Matt feels the same way about his 49ers. So we'll find out who is the winner come Sunday.
I like to think of it as we're a team, and there is no winner and loser in our debates. Our debates are for the betterment of understanding of football from two opposing points of view.
I agree with everything you just said, except for the winner and loser part.
In the most American style possible, there has to be a winner and a loser, man.
Yeah, I am so
loser.
competitive. Me and my kid are both so competitive that even when she was like 6 or 7, my wife stopped playing games with us because we would just skip her.
I'm competitive, but not when it comes to debate, and that's
dude. We were competitive over Hungry Hippo, Life. It didn't like any of those games. It didn't matter. We were Connect 4. We would go at it. Like,
I mean, what's the point if there's no winner and loser? That's always that's a big thing that I don't understand about college football. By the way, just a quick point on college football from somebody who doesn't really watch any of it. The records must matter, right? Like, because otherwise, what's the point of playing the games?
Yeah, their records matter more than other sports because you lose one game, you still have a tiny chance. You lose 2 games, you're out of it. Like, you're out of the chance. Yeah. No way to play. Now, next year they expand the playoffs, and college football is going to be a lot more fun next year. With are they going to 12 teams, 8 teams? I don't remember, but they're expanding the playoffs. College football, a lot more fun. But right before we came on, I just watched Alabama upset Georgia, which probably means Georgia does not make the playoffs this year.
See, that's interesting because Georgia are meant to be one of the best. So Georgia now lost 2.
1. But so did Alabama. But Alabama just beat Georgia in the SEC championship game, which makes them the SEC champions.
Oh, so right. Okay. I didn't realize it was the championship
Georgia back. Florida are on their 3rd string quarterback. So even if they do win, I don't think they're going to let them in. So it's going to be a wild one. It's going to be like Texas, Michigan, Texas, Michigan, Alabama, and they have to let them in because they're number 2 and they just won the Pac-12. This is another thing we've been talking about all year. Penix in the playoffs with Washington is impressive as fuck because Washington isn't usually that team that's going to be you're talking about in the playoffs. So it's going to be a cool college playoffs.
Who did make the playoffs? USC with Caleb Williams. Not that it was all his fault. Like, the defense is shocking. But
I've been saying this too, and people get mad at me. Caleb Williams beats up on really bad teams. He plays poorly against good defenses, and it's scary because when you're at USC, you have offensive players all across the board that can ball out. So when you look good, you look really good. But those times that Caleb Williams is looking bad, I don't know. I personally don't think he ends up being the 1st pick overall. I think that's a lot of hype that's not going to end up happening.
Yeah, Penix kind of reminds me of CJ Stroud, where it's like, I want to see him just absolutely annihilate a team, and I want to see him be mobile in the pocket and those kind of things. But I like how he dissects teams and gets the ball out.
I am not rushing the season to be over because I love football, but I am very excited to dive into the quarterback draft class after this season.
Yeah, me too. I think the cornerback draft class as well is quite an interesting class this year.
This quarterback class is something different. Like, I'm not saying that all the players are going to be better or whatever, but the way people are looking at this year's quarterback draft is so different. And you hear about Drake May and Bo Nix and fucking Penix and Caleb Williams and like, I don't know, you can just keep going of all these guys. And now I'm wondering who's coming out, who's staying at school. I can't wait to find out. And then I can't wait to go just nitpick the shit out of them in the offseason.
Yeah. Yeah. What I was saying about the college records is it's interesting that it's a voter system. So like Florida State can go undefeated, but if they're playing their third string quarterback, then we can vote them out, because why would you have them in there? Because they're obviously going to get beat. So I just think that's interesting.
Yeah, it's
As
wild,
a thing of
but
like
it's
the
better than
records
the
on
old, it's better than the old BCS where there was some computer calculation that decided who was the national champion.
Yeah, that's weird. They've got to play. You've got to play the playoffs. You have to play games to win. But it's interesting how they get into the playoffs.
And now when they expand it to 12 next year, then it'll be there. Yes, you'll have somebody on the outside crying that they didn't get in, but I'd rather have the 13th worst team not get in, or get
than the 5th.
Yeah. Yes.
Than the undefeated 5th best team in the league.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I saw somebody saying like, "Oh, why do you want to extend it to 12 teams?" It's like, well, because the first team have already beaten the 6th team, and the third team have already beaten the 8th team, and it's like, great, that's really cool. Why wouldn't we want more playoff football? Why is it not something you wouldn't want more of anyway? Like you get robbed as a college team.
How exciting is that for other teams too? Now, Wisconsin ends up making the college playoffs. Even though they lose to Ohio State in the Big Ten championship one year, like that's happened where they both went in there with one loss, and then Ohio State beats up Wisconsin, so they don't get in, right? You know what I mean? Now, because there's 12 teams, Wisconsin can get in there, and Iowa could be making the playoffs right now, where Iowa would never make the playoffs in this type of system.
Yeah,
and once you're in the playoffs, who knows? Like there's going to be a year where, what I mean, like an 8 seed or a 9 seed wins the college national championship. It's going to be wild.
Yeah, they were saying this about the NBA play-ins, right? They're like, why do you had all of the regular season to get this? Why does it matter? And it's like, but why wouldn't I want more playoff football and more fairy tale stories? I like the play-in.
I fucking
it's like
hate
an extra playoff. It's like an extra playoff.
Half the league, but see, that's my problem. The NBA, half the league already gets into the playoffs. So now more than half of the league is playing in the playing. It's just, I don't like that. But I am very excited about that mid-season tournament in the NBA this year. I'm excited.
Yeah, the NBA should just be round robin tournaments just all the way through the year. Like tournament basketball is just better than regular season basketball. You just play tournament basketball all year round. That's the best form of basketball for me. But just back to college football very quickly. It also means if you extend the playoffs, which I wasn't expecting to be talking about college football, but it also means if you extend the playoffs, you don't get a group of young kids who have 2 bad games and then their season's over and it doesn't matter. Because once you've lost 2 games and you're not going to the playoffs, like, you're playing for your NFL contract, you're playing for your college and your last year. It also means that these guys it also means that these guys that like aren't going to the NFL like get a taste of something. It also means you get to see these guys. NFL scouts get to see everybody that's in these teams. Like a Wisconsin, you're only looking at the starting players for Wisconsin, right? If you can't start at Wisconsin, you're not good for the NFL. Well, that's not necessarily true, because some players play better on the big occasion, which is when you make it to the NFL. So it's more opportunities to see more talent. It's more opportunities to get every good last bit of time out of college football. There are players that only get good towards their second and third year. And it's like, okay, well, now they get the opportunity to show us that end of second and third year stuff. And I think it's exciting.
If you think about today, so Georgia was ranked number 1. Alabama was ranked number 8. If they were in the playoffs, it would have been an 8 versus 1, and it would have been a huge upset. You know what I mean? It would have been crazy fun for college football.
Exactly.
So, all right. I'm excited for some college football too, but because college football is wrapping up this weekend, coming very soon, we got Saturday football games.
The more football, the better.
I like it too. The more games I can watch without having to go back and like watch the after on Monday or Tuesday, it's better for me. I like watching them live. It's more exciting. Like Maddie was probably losing his fucking mind during the game Thursday, but we were having a nice conversation, a few of us in the group chat while the game was going on, which made it a lot of fun. I'm sure Maddie, like I said, was losing his fucking mind while trying to be in a group chat.
I was sat on a train watching the game, sharing a room with a man I didn't know. So like, I was trying to not scream and shout in the train while the guy was asleep.
So wait,
So
you had a sleeper
obviously
and you
Cynthia
had
was
to
asleep
share
as
it?
well. Yeah, it's four berth sleeper. That's the fancy one. There's like a 6 berth sleeper.
Oh yeah, this is like in the US on the Amtrak. When you get it, it's for a couple, like one
You
or
can
two
get
people. That's it. That they don't have like
all right, okay.
hostels on our train.
Nah, you can get like a couple's room, which is like £103 for the 36-hour journey. So £103 per person for the 106-hour journey. The 106-hour journey, the 36-hour journey, which is still a pretty good deal. But the 4-bed sleeper is like the same beds, but £50, so half the price.
Right, but
And
you
like,
got a fucking hostel on your train. That's how
I'm
wild the
used to
UK
hostels,
is.
man.
Oh wait, you're in Vietnam, but no, that's what
Vietnam.
I watched the movie back in the day. I'll never fucking stay in a hostel after I watched the movie Hostel. But
Yeah,
like,
was it the Hostel movie? Yeah.
yeah,
We
like
get that a
not a
lot.
fucking chance. Like that
In
was
my line of work, we
and
get that a lot.
that shit came out. That shit came out when I was like in my late teens, early 20s. I could have been those idiots that got caught up by the hot chicks who like lead me off to like, yeah, I could have been like
Yeah.
tied up in a basement, bro. It would have been fucked up.
I love them. I think they're so much fun. You meet so many interesting people, but you're right, you don't meet a lot of Americans, and I wonder if it's because of the movie Hostel.
And it's because like that shit is very foreign to us. Yes, there is some now, but it's only recently that hostels have become a thing here too. Like it is very foreign to us. And like up until the 2000s, like hotels were pretty fucking cheap. You could get a Super 8 hotel for $35 a night. You could, you know what I'm saying? You could get a Motel 6, you could get stabbed for $20 a night back in the early 90s. But like I'm just saying that like hotels weren't that expensive up until like the mid 2000s.
Yeah, I think the main difference here is the fact that if you're an American that's able to come to Europe, for example, and travel around Europe for 6 weeks, you're obviously rich as fuck anyway. So it doesn't really matter. Whereas like if you're a Brit who's like, you can pay £250 and get a train, get a ticket that allows you to take 15 journeys over the 15 days of travel over the course of 2 months for £250. And then, so if you're like not crazy affluent, you can then get the train to Eastern Europe where hostel beds are 10, £15 a night.
Yeah.
And then you can travel around Europe.
In Phoenix, when we stayed down there for the Hot Box event, we rented that RV, but right in front of us was a house that was a hostel, and it was 3 beds to a room or something in a 4-bedroom house, and it was $18 a night.
Yeah, I once stayed in a hostel in Amsterdam. That was 18 beds to a room. It was £15 per night because I was 18, and Amsterdam was probably like the most expensive city that we were going to for that next like 6 weeks. And there was a guy wigging out on mushrooms like when we walked in, because like it's obviously all legal in Amsterdam, and there's a guy in the bed absolutely wetting himself with laughter because he'd just done a load of shrooms. I was like, that was our first hostel experience. And we were about to go traveling around through hostels for the next 2 months, going from Amsterdam to Greece. And our first hostel experience was an 18-person dorm where the guy absolutely pissed himself on mushrooms.
That's wild. All right. Well, I hope you guys all enjoy the games. I hope you guys will make some money off our bets. And like Maddie had said, hit that like, subscribe, share it. Just 1 share per person and make all the difference.
Yeah. And Moose, if you're watching, I'm terrified that you're putting money on our bets. That's scary, but also do it. Good for you.
And I'm wondering which one of us he's following on this too.
Yeah. Does he just not bet the ones where we're different, or does he pick one side or the other? Does he always go with mine? Does he always go with yours? We'll have to.
We're gonna have to find out. We're gonna have to do some investigation. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. One world, one love. Deuces.
Cheerio.